So you've spent months, maybe even years, perfecting your AI governance plan. It's beautiful, it's comprehensive, but what happens when it actually has to work? When a real crisis hits. Well, today, we're going to step inside the control room and walk through the exact algorithm for when those alarms start blaring. And honestly, let's just start right here. This quote, it just nails it, doesn't it? Governance that cannot operate under stress is not governance. It is documentation. I mean, think about that. If your plan is just a PDF sitting in a shared drive somewhere, it's basically worthless when things go sideways. Real governance has to be battle-tested.
All right, so to really wrap our heads around this, I want you to come with me into what I call the governance control room. Just imagine it. Your AI system isn't just lines of code, it's this huge, complex piece of machinery humming away. And we're the operators, right? We're watching all the dials and monitors. The question is, what's the playbook when a big red alarm starts flashing and screaming at us?
And you know what? This is the exact point where almost every plan breaks down. It's not that the rules aren't clear. We've got plenty of rules. The problem is that in the heat of the moment, when everything's going haywire, people freeze. They don't know what to do next. So, what we're really talking about is turning those static principles into a living, breathing, actionable playbook.
Okay, so here it is. This is the master playbook, the full 8-step governance algorithm. This is basically the Bible for our control room. You can see it covers the whole life cycle, right? From defining the use case, applying policies, running evals, deploying with monitoring, all the way to detecting incidents, auditing, resolving conflicts, and finally deciding whether to reapprove, roll back, or just pull the plug. Now for today, we're really going to zero in on that crisis response piece, but you got to see how it fits into the whole system. And remember, the point of this whole thing isn't to be perfect. No way. It's to be consistent and auditable when everything is on fire.
All right, let's do it. Let's jump right into the chaos. Picture it. AHH, a sudden, piercing alarm goes off in our control room. That sound, that's our trigger. That's the signal that yanks us out of our day-to-day and says, okay team, playbook out, it's go time. But here's a really subtle, really important point. Not every little blip on the screen should be a trigger. You have to be smart about this. A trigger is a signal that is strong enough to justify stopping everything. It's calibrated for impact, not just for frequency. Think about it. If you set the alarm too sensitively, your team will be running around putting out tiny fires all day. You'll get what's called governance fatigue. A good trigger is designed to protect your team's focus, which is, let's be honest, your most valuable resource.
So the alarm is blaring. The natural human instinct, right? It's to dive in and start fixing stuff. Let me find the bug. Let me patch the code. But the algorithm, it forces you to stop, take a breath. Your first goal is not to make things better, it's to make things stable. You have to ask 2 critical questions right now. 1, is harm still happening? And 2, do we actually understand what's going on? You have to stabilize the patient before you can perform the surgery.
Okay, so we've stopped the bleeding. Now comes the hard part. This is where the real drama starts. Because once things are stable, you're almost always going to find a conflict. Different teams, different priorities. So let's make this super concrete. Let's say your company has a handy little benefits eligibility bot. It's supposed to help HR answer employee questions, but it's just started giving out wildly incorrect advice.
And suddenly, our control room turns into a battlefield. You've got the head of HR on one side, basically pleading, "You can't turn it off. My team is already swamped. We'll drown without it." But then you've got the head of legal on the other side, practically screaming, "Are you kidding me? Shut it down! Shut it down now!" Every wrong answer is a potential lawsuit. So, who wins? Who gets to make the call?
This is why that playbook is so critical. Because in a moment like that, arguing, debating, doing nothing, that's a decision. And it's usually the worst one you can make. Every second that ticks by while people are yelling at each other is another second the company is exposed. A delayed decision is a failed decision. So how do you break the tie? You use something called priority logic, and it's exactly what it sounds like. It's a rule you agreed on before the crisis, back when everyone was calm, that decides which concern wins. It's the pre-declared tiebreaker. The goal here isn't to be perfectly right in some cosmic sense. The goal is to be decisive, to be consistent, and to have a decision that you can stand behind and defend later.
So what does that look like in practice? Well, you might have a few simple rules written down. Like, if it's a high-risk safety issue, safety always wins over performance. If it's a regulatory conflict, you pause by default. And if you still can't decide, it gets escalated. So for our port benefits bot, it's pretty clear, right? It's a regulatory and compliance nightmare. The rule says, pause by default. Boom. Decision made.
Legal wins. The debate is over. The algorithm did its job.
Okay, so the decision is made. We're pausing the bot. But you can't just, go and pull a cable out of the server and walk away. That's not governance. The next step is to formally execute the plan and move the system into a new documented state.
And this might be one of the most important ideas in this whole explainer. Good governance isn't about just winging it with ad hoc fixes. It's about managing a series of controlled state transitions. You're intentionally moving the system from state A to state B, and you're writing down exactly why, when, and how you did it. It has to be known, and it has to be documented.
So what are your options? Well, you can let it continue as is. Maybe the alarm was a false positive. You can modify its configuration or how people use it. You can put it in a temporary timeout, or you can take it out back and decommission it for good. For our benefits bot, the team made a smart move. They chose to modify usage. They didn't have to kill the whole thing. They just did a little surgery. They disabled the part that answers eligibility questions, and they documented exactly what they did and why.
And that brings us to the final act for any AI system, the governed exit, decommissioning, taking it offline for good. And this is where so many organizations just drop the ball. They think, phew, it's over, our job is done. But oh no, it is not.
Let me be crystal clear here. Turning off an AI is not a get-out-of-jail-free card. It doesn't erase your responsibilities. Shutting it down is simply the final governed state transition in its life cycle. You still have work to do.
And what you're left with is what we call residual risk. It's like the ghost of the system. It's all the stuff that's left behind even after it's gone. The records it created, the decisions people made based on its outputs, the influence it had on other data sets. You can't just pretend that stuff disappears. Real, mature governance is about being honest about the impact you can never fully undo.
So I want to leave you with this one question to think about. Your AI is off. You've shut down the server. Is its influence truly gone? Because managing that legacy, the data it touched, the decisions it shaped, the people it affected, that right there might just be the hardest and most important part of governance.